My name is Bobby Robbins, and I'm from Houston, Texas. And my crucial conversation began the night before I deployed to Iraq in 2004. It was my first deployment to Iraq, and there was a lot of tension in my family caused by, events from the past and a lot of competing perspectives. And one really well-intended but deeply loaded question from my dad just sent me through the roof. And over the next couple of hours, the conversation just spiraled further and further down. My family ties continued to unravel as I led a platoon of soldiers through the streets of Baghdad. My wife was at home with our 1-year-old and pregnant with our second. And during my tour, additional family encounters only worsened the situation. And when I came home after 14 months in combat, I came home to a family that was completely broken at every existing generation. Crucial Conversations saved my relationship with my parents. A friend who's a Crucial Conversations trainer introduced me to the promise of Crucial Conversations right before my second tour in Iraq. A couple of weeks before I deployed, I reached out to my father and let him know there were a couple of grandchildren that he had never met and that I was leaving for combat again. I told him I couldn't make the same mistake I had 5 years earlier, and we agreed to meet. My dad and I spent 3 really tense hours talking about all the pain and resentment that had built up with 5 years of silence. It was really difficult, but I kept focusing on what I really wanted. What I really wanted was a relationship with my parents. So I used the skills from Crucial Conversations. I tried to contrast with what my intentions really were versus what I assumed that could have been logical for him to think in the past. In fact, I used the path to action because I wanted him to understand that we tell ourselves stories, and maybe there was a possibility that some of the stories he had told himself weren't accurate and that they were standing in the way of us getting back to where we had been before. At the end of the conversation, we met my mom for dinner. She gave me a chance based on my father's assessment of my respect and remorse and that I'd clearly demonstrated that we had mutual purpose. I'm now in a loving relationship with my wife, our 4 children, and their grandparents, and we've agreed that we're never going to bury any of those stories in silence again. I attribute the relationship I have with my parents today to Crucial Conversations. If I hadn't practiced those skills that night on the balcony, our relationship could have died from anger and indifference. But because one friend introduced me to Crucial Conversations, I ended up getting what I really wanted, a relationship with my family.